Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. We're grateful to be with you in this spiritual place. My name is Jacqueline Kairis, and I'm delighted to be your worship associate this morning. Warm greetings. Warm greetings to all here in the sanctuary and all those streaming online. Please feel welcomed with acceptance and respect, regardless of whether you're feeling sunny or rainy today or somewhere in between. And importantly, no matter your identity, your spirituality, or whom you love. If you are new to First U and would like to learn more about this church or upcoming services and events, please check out our website at firstuuwilm.org. In today's service, Reverend Larry will introduce the theme of sacred activism, a thoughtful and timely topic, as tomorrow honors both Earth Day and the beginning of Passover. Also, we have the youth with us in the sanctuary. As we gather together, we are gifted with wise information and encouragement to broaden our response to the environmental crisis. And now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Larry Piers, and I'm so happy to have you here today joining us in the sanctuary, which will soon become a forest right before your very eyes. And I want to welcome also those who are joining us online. So we're going to do our call to worship together, so please stand and imagine that you are a tree. Each of you are a tree. See, now we have a forest. And I'm going to teach you a song, and I want you to sing. Let me sing it through once, and then I'll give you the instructions. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down, down to the earth. Our roots go down. So I'm going to sing the first line. You'll sing that same line back to me twice. And we'll always end with, my roots go down. Got it? So, my roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. Maybe this would be a great movement for the last line. My roots go down. Great. All right, and now there's some other movements. Ready? Say yes. Okay. I'm a willow tree bending in the wind. I'm a willow bending in the wind. Okay, you got that one. I am an oak tree standing tall and strong. And I am a pine tree on a mountainside. Great, you got it. Look at the forest. Look around at the forest that's here. Okay, so I'm a willow tree bending in the wind. You sing it twice after me. I'm a willow tree bending in the wind. I'm a willow tree bending in the wind. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. Okay, oak tree. I'm an oak tree standing tall and bold. I'm an oak tree standing tall and bold. You sing it twice after me. I'm an oak tree standing tall and bold. I'm an oak tree standing tall and bold. My roots go down. And I'm a pine tree on a mountainside. I sing the first line, you sing it twice after me. I'm a pine tree standing on a mountainside. I'm a pine tree on a mountainside. I'm a pine tree on a mountainside. My roots go down. And so now, as we sing our chorus, let's imagine for a moment that we do have roots, each of us, that are going down, down into the earth. And that all of us are mingling our roots under the ground. It's like touching each other's toes under there. And it tickles a little bit. So imagine what that would look like. Imagine that connection. Feel that connection that we have with one another. It's not always visible, but as our roots go down into the earth, we can feel that connection. So, my roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. You're a great forest.
If you have a chalice at home, we invite you to join us by lighting it while I read these words adapted by Lynn Harrison. We join together this day with loving hearts, hands, and minds, embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth. As we give thanks for this earth, may we dedicate ourselves to its ongoing care. Please join in singing hymn 163. After the hymn, please remain standing for our unison affirmation. And now, please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds, fights injustice, and transforms a world through loving action.
And do things every day to protect the environment.
Some of the things each of us questers do include recycling, composting, eating food grown locally, using reusable water bottles, eating a vegan diet, shopping with reusable bags, using solar panels, and picking up trash.
The Environmental Justice Task Force wants to hear what you already do to take care of the earth, our blue boat home.
On each of your seats, there's a paper acorn. We ask that you take a few moments to write down one thing that you already do to take care of our planet. We will collect your acorns as we leave the sanctuary today. Let us enjoy some music while we write.
Thank you, everyone. Please pass your acorns to the end of your row so we can collect them as we leave. Then the Environmental Justice Task Force will hang all of the acorns around the tree in Parish Hall. Feel free to add more acorns over the coming weeks. And if you don't finish writing before we collect the acorns this morning, that's fine. Take your acorns to the Parish Hall following the worship service.
Now please join in singing the children out. The questers will go first to collect the acorns. Then Catherine will let the other children know it's time for them to leave.
For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be, for you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be.
I know on one of these Sundays that I'm going to join that procession out. Looks like such a fun group to be with. Let's join together now in a time of prayerful meditation. Let's invite into our presence this morning a sense of healing, a sense of being made whole, a sense of coming home to ourselves and to our earth. Maybe feeling your feet caressing the earth as the earth caresses your feet. Maybe feeling the wonder and awe of your own breath as it fills your body. And as you exhale and give breath back to the earth. Feeling yourself supported by the chair that you're in. Let us invite in healing. Think of all the ways that you yourself yearn for healing, for wholeness, for holiness. As you breathe in, imagine that you're breathing in a little more of that wholeness that you crave in your own life. Ponder all the ways in which those you love and care about are yearning for more healing, more wholeness, more holiness. As you breathe in, gather your best care for them within your own heart. And as you exhale, send that care to each of them. And in our collective heart this morning, let us hold together all the ways that our world, this world that we share, and this earth that we care for and that cares for us, is urging us to move towards healing, towards wholeness, towards holiness. As we breathe in, let's gather all of our deep care and concern and compassion for the world that surrounds us. And as we breathe out, let us send more light, more love, more compassion to all the various corners of this world, this earth that we inhabit. I want to share this short poem by James Cruz entitled How We Heal. This is how we heal, one cell at a time, drawing in the nutrients and air offered to the body, which rejoices in stillness as the maple celebrates a pummeling rain in spring. Even the patches of lichen on its branches and trunk glowing greener in the meager light of dusk. We heal by asking for what we need from the ground we stand on, roots reaching out, calling, speaking to others, moving in their own slow motion way towards the wholeness that is this leafing out from tight red buds whose blush you can barely see at first, like color rising up and returning to the face. In the silence, the shared silence that follows, hold whatever it is in your heart, your concern for yourself, for others, or for this world and earth that we share. And we'll have a time after this shared silence to share, if you choose to do so, in the company of those who've gathered with us online or in the sanctuary this morning. So let's begin with a shared silence, attending to the various concerns of our heart. So have you noticed that when you turn inward, that there's also this tendency to want to turn outward as well? And so I invite us first to turn inward to the concerns that we might be holding in our own heart, and to share, if you'd like, those concerns in this room. So what are the concerns that you hold for yourself in your own heart? And what do you want to share in this room so that others may hold them alongside of you? Feel our collective energy of care and feel a greater love that holds it alongside of us. And let's allow ourselves to, in spite of ourselves, also name whatever joy might be bubbling up within us, even as a whisper within some corner of our own heart this morning. Is there a joy that you would like to share? Say that again. Family. We are knitted together by both joy and sorrow. So may all the names that were spoken, all the concerns we hold in our heart, all the joys that energize us, may all of those find our healing, our care, our compassion, and our celebration on this day.
Our reading today is from Sacred Nature, Restoring Our Ancient Bond with the Natural World. It's written by Karen Armstrong. While it is essential to cut carbon emissions and heed the warning of scientists, we need to learn not only how to act differently, but also how to think differently about the natural world. We need to recover the veneration of nature that human beings carefully cultivated for millennia. If we fail to do this, our concern for the natural environment will remain superficial. Okay.
But nothing superficial about that reading at all, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. So one day at a Catholic elementary school, the students went to the cafeteria for lunch. And on one of the tables, they saw piled very high on that table all these delicious red and yellow apples. There was a sign on that table that said, "Only take one. God is watching you." But further down the line was another table with stacks and stacks of delicious, crunchy, sweet cookies. And on that table, there was a sign clearly written in the handwriting of one of the children that said, "Take as many cookies as you want. God's watching the apples." This idea of a God that is separate and above it all, keeping a careful watch on us, was certainly one that was instilled in me as one of those Catholic school children. It might surprise us that this understanding of a God above it all and separate from it all is not prevalent throughout the world's religions. In fact, Karen Armstrong, in her book that Jacqueline just read, Sacred Nature, Restoring Our Ancient Bond with the Natural World, traces some of the sources of our climate crisis to this idea prevalent in the world's Western religions that the divine is separate from nature. Such an understanding desacralizes nature, making it mere matter for humans to exploit or subdue. We know that what we must do to care for the planet. We've heard all the reports and the dire consequences to our atmosphere, to our landscapes, to our species, to our humanity, if we don't do what it is that we know we must do. The evidence for the climate emergency is there. The global declarations have all been formulated and formulated again. Yet still the problem is not just agreeing on what behaviors need to be changed, it is sustaining those behaviors continually, routinely, and regularly. Such a change requires deeper work in understanding our relationship with nature and the connection between the sacred and nature. For many millennia, there was an understanding of the sacred as a part of and not apart from the natural world. Yet we swerved. We swerved from this deeply felt connection that we are the earth, not just on the earth. That the divine is not only above, but also within nature. Scholars of religion, like Karen Armstrong, can trace when it was that our thinking started to swerve. And the purpose of her exploration in sacred nature is to make us aware of that, and I quote, "While it is essential to cut carbon emissions and heed the warnings of scientists, we need to learn not only how to act differently, but also how to think differently about the natural world. We need to recover the veneration of nature that human beings carefully cultivated for millennia. If we fail to do this, our concern for the natural environment will remain superficial, period." So I agree with Armstrong that sustaining our earth-caring behaviors requires deeper work of shifting our thinking and restoring what I might call our visceral connection with the natural world, seeing the holy within, not apart from nature. Armstrong, in her book, provides a primer on the world's religions that highlights that in many of the world's religious tradition, the divine has been understood as an integral part of nature. And there are other sources as well within religion, and particularly within Western philosophy, that have distorted this primal connection that at some level I feel most of us sense or feel or know in some way. Many of us, of course, recall the story in the Hebrew Scriptures in the first creation story in Genesis. There are two, but in that first story, the first chapter of Genesis, God issues this command to the first human beings: "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and conquer it. Be masters of the fish of the sea, the birds of heaven, and all living animals on the earth." Such a view of the human's relationship over the earth and the creatures of the earth has fostered a mindset, a way of thinking that has had far-reaching impact and is one of the root metaphors that requires a re-examination in our healing of our relationship to the earth and our human place in the scheme of things. What is more, this idea of God as separate from, a Lord over everything, has also had a long-lasting impact in shaping our Western worldview, and most importantly, shaping our own behaviors and practices related to the earth's resources. Of course, nature's sacredness is so much a part of the human psyche that religions have found ways to affirm the immanence of the divine within nature. Armstrong reminds us that originally European Christians, like the peoples of the Middle East, India, and China, had seen the sacred as a ubiquitous force that pervaded the natural world and pulled the disparate elements of the universe together. She gives the example, and this is our church history lesson for this morning. She gives the example of the medieval Catholic theologian Thomas Aquinas, 1225, 1274. The dates won't be on the exam. Aquinas' understanding that, and I quote, God was not confined to a supernatural heaven, but was present everywhere in everything. God was not a being, but rather being itself, the divine essence at the heart of all things. God was all that is. Yet this point of view swerved in Western Christianity when by the 14th century, as Armstrong writes, people were beginning to regard God as just another being, albeit of a superior kind, rather than being itself. With the advent of Newtonian science, God came to be seen as a mechanical creator and nature as a resource to be exploited. And when Newton's physics became outdated, this worldview of a mechanical universe remained in Western thought and influences us to this day. Exploiting the natural world, seeing nature as merely secular, were mindsets that underlie this Western view of the human and divine relationship to nature. Even when Western science and technology were adapted by non-Western cultures, this idea of nature as only secular did not always get adapted by those cultures. The felt sense of sacred nature, of nature as sacred, persisted in many of the world's religious traditions. Armstrong argues that we must recover our understanding of the sacred within nature in order to sustain our capacity to care for the earth and our relationship with the earth. Through her exploration of Confucianism, Buddhism, Islam, Chinese religions, she recovers this basic understanding that resounds across the religious understanding of the world, that we are connected to nature. The divine is within and not apart from nature. Armstrong proposes that, and I quote, "It is our modern failure to foster a reverence for the things of nature that has resulted in our serious environmental crisis." So if we want to save our planet, we too must cultivate this ancient conviction that every natural thing is inseparable from our ultimate concern. We humans have the capacity to appreciate consciously and deliberately and imaginatively the underlying unity of things. There are many images from the world's religious traditions that have fostered more of this sense of human connection with the earth rather than separateness. One of these images is the understanding that each of us and the cosmos as a whole is similar to that of a tree whose branches reach out in an all-embracing sky, but which is rooted deeply in the earth. Let's extend all of our branches for a moment. This is the mid-sermon stretch. And let's feel the deep roots of ourself within the earth and the nutrients of the earth that sustain us. This idea of affection for everybody and everything was also captured in the Chinese Confucian idea of the concentric circles. Such an image conveyed not only our interconnectedness, but also our capacity to gradually and intentionally expand our care and our concern beyond ourselves in order to encompass more and more of our care for the life, for all of life, all beings, and all aspects of human systems, such as our civil life. All of these can deserve our care and our concern for the sake of the one nature that unites us all. Now, Armstrong offers a spiritual practice using this image of concentric circles that I'll share with you briefly, and you might try it this week. She says, take about 15 or 20 minutes a day and try this. It might be when you're walking your dog or out for a walk or sitting in a park or just enjoying some quiet time during a day. I think it helps to be able to see just a little bit of nature peeking in as you're peeking out at it. And the object, she says, is to extend the mind from what is near at hand and then breaking down the barriers of egotism and habits of self-regard to gradually begin to realize our profound connection with and indeed our dependence upon all of our fellow creatures and the natural world. In the process, she says, we will develop new habits of mind and of heart. So she says, start perhaps with nature, looking closely at your immediate environment, making yourself aware of the magnificence of trees, of flowers, of birdsong and clouds, until they are no longer just a backdrop of our lives, but become a daily marvel. You got that part down? So that's the first part. And then she says we must also recognize the essential holiness of otherness in nature that makes it more than just a resource. We should recall what the sages have said to us about its mystery. She said we should not leave these concentric circles until we can feel our minds stretching and our sense of awe and a humbleness of our own place within the scheme of things. When we move on to embrace the circles that then contain our fellow human beings, we can practice with just this group that's gathered here and imagine those that are online. Extend our compassion, our ability to feel with, even to have compassion for those we do not know or we do not understand. That's a little harder these days, so I'll pause for a moment as you adjust whatever you're needing to do to find that compassion to embrace all human beings. And then she invites us to conclude with a thoughtful recitation of the Buddhist prayer, "Let all beings be happy," noting that it's asking us to extend our compassion and our sympathy to all without exception. Such a practice, I believe, can help us to recover our sense of connection with nature and can gradually and intentionally expand our circle of compassion to include all that is, all beings, all human beings. Such a practice can help us to counteract our enculturated understanding of being apart from nature, of being mindless in our exploitation of the earth and the earth's resources because we see it only as matter there to be utilized, commodified, and exploited. Armstrong says we need to shift our thinking and not just our behaviors if we are to sustain our care for the earth. You sense, I suspect, from this exercise that's more than just shifting our thinking. It's also shifting our felt connection that we are cultivating, our felt connection with nature, with all that is, and with each other. She concludes that we should remember that the Buddha achieved enlightenment not by polishing his soul, but by directing expansive feelings of love to every being in the world. And we all know that this shifting of thinking, this deepening of feeling, in and of itself is not enough. It's a starting place. It's the beginning of a process of moving towards a sacred activism, an activism that is grounded in a spiritual connection. It is when we're able to bring together a deeper spirituality with a wise, guided, urgent action that we move towards a sacred activism. Spirituality can ground our social action in the world, and when it does, we can be like trees planted in the water and not so easily swayed by the first disappointment that comes our way. We need that spiritual grounding in order to sustain our practice and our efforts to care for the earth, to care for each other and our common world. Examples of this kind of spiritual grounding and wise action are available from many in history, like Gandhi, of course, like Martin Luther King, like the Solidarity movement and other movements who are able to bring about transformative change, a change in thinking and feeling, and we're also able to harness a strong spiritual awareness and force, a force that Gandhi called satyagraha, or soul force. Andrew Harvey, a spiritual teacher, Carolyn Baker, in their books on sacred activism, argue that we are being confronted with so many things all at once, on so many fronts right now. Do I need to name them? Okay. Maybe I would just speak with a whisper, of course. The climate crisis, of course, the threats to democracy, migration, just to name a few. We need to link our spirituality with our social action and our social action with our spirituality in order to sustain and to empower us through any season of discouragement. And, my friends, there will be seasons of discouragement. A spirituality that is only private, Harvey says, and self-absorbed, one devoid of an authentic political and social consciousness, does little to halt the suicidal juggernaut of history. On the other hand, an activism that is not purified by profound spiritual and psychological self-awareness and rooted in divine truth, wisdom, and compassion will only perpetuate the problem it is trying to solve, however righteous its intentions. Harvey and Baker recognize that given the enormity of the interconnected problems of our time, that we could easily be paralyzed by desperation, by despair, or depression. But rather than retreat, we need an engaged spirituality. We need to develop a practice of having two eyes. Bear with me. With one eye, we're able to see without flinching the horrors of this world. And with the other eye, we are tuned to what the horror is actually activating in people who are prepared to wake up, people of goodwill. Let's practice that for a moment. Unflinching, like with one eye, let's just name some of the horrors that we see in our world. And now with the other eye, to look at what these horrors are actually activating in people who are prepared to actually wake up and who are people of goodwill. What are you noticing with that other eye?
Fighting for democracy. Thanks.
So we need both eyes. We need to be able to look unflinchingly at the horrors, but also directly at what gets activated among us because of those. We need to cultivate a spirituality that allows us to draw on enough spiritual power to look at both the predicaments that we're in and the ways that those predicaments can activate us into wise action. So, some have called this time that we're in a global dark night of the soul. And every dark night has a time of collapse, a time of transition, and then a time of reordering. Our spiritual traditions are embedded with this understanding. During Passover, which begins this week, there is embedded in this story a universal message that it's possible for the collective human soul to take this journey from oppression to liberation, from limitation to broader freedom. The Hebrew word for Egypt, Mitzrayim, is translated as narrow place. And likewise, we need to move beyond the narrow places in our thinking about nature and about our relationship to the earth, and critically examine our practices that limit our capacity to renew and restore our relationship to the sacredness of the earth. We need to be liberated from the narrow thinking that enslaves us to a limited understanding of ourselves, of nature, and of the divine. In the story of the escape from Egypt, from the narrow places, there's a pattern of collapse, letting go of a life that the enslaved people knew so well, moving into a time of transition, a time of the wilderness, and then a reordering of their lives over time. We need to take a risk together, a risk to cross the Red Sea, the Reed Sea, trusting that the way from there, from now to what wants to emerge, will open for us. We need to take a journey and be able to step into the promise of a new way of understanding the land, ourselves, and our connection to divine power. Let's recognize that the Pharaoh's world view is prevalent as an archetype. It's one of domination of the earth, of people, and exploitation of the marginalized and the poor. We need to leave that narrow thinking behind, even if it means that for a time we are in a wilderness of unknowing until we find ourselves renewed and reconnected.
Thank you, Reverend Larry, for your thought-provoking and inspiring sermon. As we begin our stewardship moment, I invite you to take in gratitude for our church, for each other, and our combined efforts and volunteerism, and as you are able, consider an offering. Our church is ongoing. To name just some areas, every week, wonderful sermons, important youth programming, including the heart-stealing children's choir, gorgeous music. Thank you today, Cindy and Linda. Soul Matters groups, poetry, learning and sharing, environmental justice task force, and our solar panels. Live stream events, guided hikes, vegan dinners, award-winning social justice efforts such as our CAPAS program, and on. Opportunities to learn, play, to stretch, and to contribute. Our website has information on how to join these activities and more. And our community is ongoing. Our growth and our work continues, and the needs do too. During the music, there will be slides with information on how to give to sustain our church. And thank you. Please join me in dedicating our offering to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. As we extinguish our chalice, I'll read words adapted by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She writes, action on behalf of life transforms. As we work to heal the earth heals us.
One example of that experienced healing of the earth is this line from a Mary Oliver poem. When I am among the trees, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me daily. So as we move to this week and to the months ahead, perhaps you are ready to make a vow to the earth. You would include these words. Don't make it lightly, but I'm just going to plant the words now into your own heart, and you can decide when you're ready to make this vow. The vow is, I promise to be the best lover and defender of the earth that I can be. Let's just try it on for size, not for commitment yet. I promise to be the best lover and defender of the earth that I can be. May the blessing that can come from that vow extend from our lives to all the places in the earth in which that vow can be realized and activated. So may it be. Our closing is 1064, Blue Boat Home.
Far away from the road